Hey guys, and welcome to the Hellfire Comms playthrough of Splatoon. We're going to be covering the single-player campaign. Going to go ahead and make my Splatoon-atar here. That's Splatoon avatar. And yeah, that seems pasty enough for me. Just going to go with this. And for this one, I have with me, we're playing this live by the way, I have Volkamar, who ran Super Mario World in the Nintendo phone for us.
Hello.
And I have Flame, one of our moderators.
Hello there.
So just going to do the typical awkward thing, since we haven't really done a playthrough together before. Gotta do the typical awkward thing of tell me how you got into Splatoon. Flame, you first, mate.
Well, when it was first announced, I believe it was one of the directs they first showed it off in, and it was at that point it was kind of not really on my radar. It was more of one of them kind of it looks cool, I guess, type games. And then over time, as I kind of saw more and more of it, and particularly it was when me and you did that, like went through the test fire. That really did make me think, okay, this is a really decent multiplayer shooter. And then kind of it wasn't right until it came out that I realised actually there's a single player in this too, and that was cool.
Surprisingly decent as well. It was, I think it was the Nintendo digital event for 2014.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Vol? Because I know you handle Splatter Day for us over on the HSC livestream.
Yeah, this is a game I've been looking at for quite some time. One thing I always rat on Nintendo about is the lack of new IPs, and when they announced Splatoon initially, I was just like, oh wow, new IP, and it actually looks pretty decent. I will keep my eye on this.
Damn it, I have to stop complaining!
Yeah, so after a while, I was looking at like the test fires and things like that. I was thinking, okay, this is actually holding up pretty well. I will go ahead and pre-order it. Then one stolen lorry full of Splatoon cases later, and I finally had the game. And it is very good.
Wait a minute, that's a bit of a weird sentence structure there. Are you saying you were the one who took all the Splatoon amiibo?
Damn, I've been found out!
What a way to rat yourself out on a fucking Hellfire Comms playthrough of all things.
Anything for the views, Tom.
Yeah.
Wondering why you wouldn't let me in your garage the other week.
It's like, no, you don't want to go in here.
Like I said, we're going to cover the single-player campaign. It's mostly a multiplayer game, and you have to like actively search for the single player. I mean, you can leap to basically any mode in the game through the menu on the Wii U gamepad's like screen, but you can find it's basically in an alley, just like tucked away in a corner. Not the main focus, but surprisingly deep for what it is.
Yeah, but before we do that, we've got to have Callie and Murray just talk to us endlessly, because they like to do that.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, no! Oh my god, it's going to be so much!
Well, you see, mashing A is riveting gameplay to start you off.
I'll go slowly, since this is probably the only time you're going to see this in this playthrough.
Welcome to phase 1 of your ink brush training, repeatedly pressing a button until your finger gets sore. So, I feel like I need to get this question out the way now. Callie or Mari, who do you prefer?
Flame, you're a weeb, you can go first.
Well, I don't know. Callie's alright, I suppose. No real preference overall. Never thought about it.
Well, Marie's got green on her apparel, so I'll go with that.
Yeah, I quite like Marie as well, just because she has that cold cynicism to her as well. It's just like constantly shutting down Callie in the most hilarious ways possible, and I can respect that fully.
Okay, I can't ignore this anymore. America gets fucking Autobots versus Decepticons. Meanwhile, we get North versus South Pole, and singing versus dancing. What the fuck?
That's not even the worst of it, Tom. The fact of the matter is, singing, the mouth is human.
Huh. Okay, that's a bit of a weird niggle you have there, but I'll let it slide.
Could they not have put the squid mouth in there? I mean, come on, it's not that difficult.
Alright, I'm just going to skip through the rest of this. I think after it gives the important information, it's just like what stages are currently in rotation and so on.
Yeah, like, I get why they have this here, because it's like theming with the Squid Sisters and they want that to kind of look cool and that, but having every time you go into the game when there's a good chance you're not going to go to the multiplayer yet, it just feels like it's kind of wasting your time, really, if you want to go single player.
Just like a skip button would be nice, because you can see what stages are currently in rotation, like when you go to What is it called? What's the main place called? It's not the Battle Dojo, because I think that's just for, like, local versus or something.
Is it Battle Dome or something like that? I'm not sure.
Oh, wait, no. Local versus isn't a thing.
Isn't it a skate park or something like that normally?
Hmm.
I don't know, it's a bit of a grey area for me as well.
Oh my god, it's still going.
3 hours later.
Okay, this is the thing everyone gets at the start of their, like, Splatoon adventure. The Great Zapfish has been stolen, and that is the main crux of the single-player campaign. It's pretty simple, but you can expand the lore by getting certain items, which we'll be discussing when we actually get into the bloody mode.
Eventually it will let us in, trust us. It does want us to play the game at some point. Within the next 3 days.
There is gameplay in this video, we swear.
Alright, Inkopolis, there we go.
Now, as you walk around in this hub world, you'll see it really chugs compared to the actual game itself. The game itself doesn't run this slowly.
Yeah. The hub, Inkopolis, runs at 30. I believe the main game runs at 60.
I think pretty much everything runs at 60 except for that. I mean, even the shops run at 60.
They don't need to, but they do.
No, I quite like it, honestly. It's just nice to see that it's generally all smooth except for the Inkopolis bit. I would have liked for Inkopolis to be 62, but, you know, what can you do? I suppose the technology just isn't there yet.
I think we're going to put up like one world or so per part, and I think there's only like 3 levels in the first world, so I guess all this fluff at the beginning can be forgiven.
Yeah, I mean, the first world is pretty damn short. It's only about 3 or 4 levels or so, I think.
The first hub world is, like, once you actually get into the single player after all this faffing around, like, I believe that's the one that's least offensive in the you might get lost department.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get to the later, like, hub areas, because some of them get a little bit obnoxious, I think.
Okay, what I'm going to do first and foremost is turn motion controls off. And there we go. Now I can control it with the right stick.
And now we go into the gutter and meet the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wrong game, Volk. I think they might be extinct along with the rest of humanity at this point.
Either that or they become some kind of hideous mutants. More so than usual.
Okay, so we got shoes over here. This is shirts and whatnot, I think. Can't really recall what this is.
There's probably weapons.
No, weapons is over here with Sheldon.
Oh, right, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's a hat shop.
Ah, okay. Well, we haven't really got time for that. We're going in nude as the day we came out of the ocean, so let's go explore.
It's not as if having gear on makes any semblance on the story mode at all.
Leaping into this now just reminds me that Ted from Brain Scratch ran the single-player campaign of Splatoon for us during the Nintendo Fun, which is pretty cool. I believe he had leveled up his character in the single-player mode. There's a upgrade system that one of us will hopefully explain later that you can use to, just gear yourself up properly. I don't know if we'll be using it, but we'll see. This is Captain Cuttlefish. He's basically going to be our Navi for a good part of the story.
He has the name Captain Cuttlefish, yet he doesn't really resemble much of a cuttlefish, really.
Really, Volk, you going to bring that up?
Got a cool beard, though.
Oh yeah, he does have a rocking beard. I do like his hat, too.
Okay, gotta do stuff. This is a story. Right, just give me my armor and oh, okay, I'm geared up already.
Like, there's a lot of talking given the plot essentially amounts to go get the totally not star.
Go get things.
Find the thing. There you go. That's your plot.
Now go find more things.
I'm going to go through the campaign as fast as I can, so I apologise if I don't show off everything, but we will be searching for the Sunken Scrolls, which is the item I mentioned earlier, and they basically give you the backstory of like the whole Splatoon world. They're pretty neat.
Yeah, it like gives you the whole how everything became flooded and just all sorts of weird stuff about where the different characters came from, and explain some things about Judd the cat as well.
Oh, Judd, we'll get to him, don't you worry.
I will admit, I'm the kind of person I'm normally just run to the end sort of player, you know, like filthy casual and all that. So I kind of haven't seen too much into the lore through these, there's scrolls, aren't they? Yeah. And so this could be interesting.
The first level is as tutorial levels as they come. They just give you the idea of, here's an enemy, this is how you kill said enemy. Here's a group of enemies, here is an avenue which you can go to kill them. And it also gives you the scroll pretty much for free, so it just kind of introduces most of the core mechanics right there in one little level. Which is incredibly good, because what a lot of people tend to do is divide it all into several levels, but I think the fact they do it all in one is pretty neat. Although they still introduce things as well, just to keep things fresh.
Okay, I was supposed to blow him up with a bomb, but I guess destroying him from behind with my splatter shot or whatever works as well.
If she does the job, does the job.
It kind of plays into what I was talking about, the multiple options, because the bombs do actually distract them.
Yeah.
And of course they look behind them, you can shoot them, or you can just hit them with the bomb and just hope the damn thing hits.
I prefer to get up close and personal. Bit like that.
So we should probably talk about the orbs as well that you've been picking up. The orbs are used for upgrades, which can be used to upgrade your ink capacity, your firing rate. It can also give you extra sub-weapons. And you don't get enough to get all the upgrades during a single playthrough, so you kind of have to think carefully about what you think you might want. But if you do find out you want more, you can always go back to other levels and collect more, but you don't really need to. I mean, the game isn't overly complicated, but it does sort of give you, like, this whole choice element to go through.
Yeah, I did a big wind-up for that jump, totally not needed. And there we go, the first sunken scroll.
The first of many.
Yeah, about, what, 23 or so?
Can't even remember.
There's one for each level, and I think it's about 35 or so.
Oh, Jesus. I'm wearing a bicycle helmet. Okay.
That's cool and all, but you appear to have forgot the bike.
Bikes went extinct along with the humans, I believe.
So we can need the helmet.
Yeah, there's 5 bosses and 27 levels, so there's 32 scrolls in total.
Well, Volk was closer to the number than Flame was, I think.
Well, given my answer was I don't know, that's kind of a win by default.
Alright, you pedantic bastard, man.
Yes! A win's a win, I'll take it.
So, how did you guys deal with Splatoon's, like, single player, like, from the very get-go? Because, honestly, I found myself struggling with the controls a little.
I didn't struggle so much because I didn't even touch the single player until I was about level 18 in the multiplayer. Goes to shows where my priorities are, eh? But by that time I'd already gotten a pretty decent idea of sort of like how the game handles and sort of if I wanted to try motion controls or if I wanted to go with the trusty old directional sticks. So I didn't really have much problems controlling it. It's just with all the extra stuff they throw in there, like the platforming and the puzzle solving. You're used to shooting things so much, you don't really prepare for that sort of thing mentally.
Speaking of shooting things, this is like, I guess, a mini Zapfish. It's the goal of each level.
Yeah, they're basically your styles from Mario games, really, aren't they? It's just the go find the thing, that's your objective.
What I love is that if you come back to any level, say if you forgot a sunken scroll or just couldn't find it, instead of getting a live Zapfish, it would be like a cuddly toy.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, they have that for all the amiibo missions as well when you go through those. They're all replaced with the cuddly Zapfish.
I'm not going to be reading these off, so I suggest you read them as quick as possible, and done.
Basically, Catfish crossbreed with Pikachu, you get Zapfish.
Alright, gonna splat our way to the top.
Just try not to get boiled in there.
In the kettle.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get that until like very near the end of my initial playthrough. It's a kettle of fish, but tush.
I love ones that kind of sneak up like that, though.
I love blowing things up with these. I guess the only way to describe them is like puffer fish.
Yeah, it's like, it's suddenly, especially when you got the mentality from the multiplayer of like, it's my colour so I own it. It's like, no, I've blown that up, this is my territory now.
Although I like how they respawn like within a few seconds as well, just in case you somehow cock off a massive explosion that covers an entire wall.
Well, no, you see, I missed this one tiny little patch in the corner, so better blow another one up, just 'cause.
it's entirely unnecessary, but I suppose the sentiment is appreciated.
Octoballs. They ain't shit.
So how do you normally go about the upgrading process then, Tom? Are you the kind of person who likes more firepower, or do you like to go full ham with the sub-weapon choice?
I like a lot of ink, I like a fast-firing weapon, and I like sunken scrolls, and I think one is coming up now. I remember like the location of a few, so I'm not trying to say I don't need you at all in this, but I don't need you at all in this.
That's fine. If we can establish that, that makes my life a hell of a lot easier. They are very, very clever at hiding some of these, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
There's a couple in, like, stage 4, I think, where they were hidden really, really well. That was the point where I think, okay, I think I need a guide for this.
Yeah, this is some Insomniac tier bullshit right now.
Luckily, I don't think I've had any which sort of like, oh, it's right behind you. It's more they are actually hidden somewhat cleverly.
Yeah.
Like, they're like hidden behind a piece of scenery where you have to tilt the camera in just sort of the right way to realise, oh, there's a platform there. Then it becomes, how do I get to that platform? It's not like with Insomniac where you go, oh, we're just going to have a whole bunch of cool stuff behind you and just hope you don't notice it.
That's so true.
Oh, was I supposed to know the stuff was here? Yeah.
Beyond the sunken scrolls, I don't think there's like much in the way of collectibles, besides the orbs, of course, but once you get the scroll, just feel free to head to the goal.
And even if you miss it, it's very easy just to head back to a level as well, so it's not too bad.
Do you see what I did to that Octoball?
That was the kind of dropping in attack, right?
Yeah, straight off the stage. Well, I'm Agent 3, and you should know better than to fuck with Agent 3.
Agent 3 is the man, or the woman, depending on what squid you chose.
Okay, I believe we've come to the next question of the day. What squid did you both go with, boy or girl?
Do you need to ask?
No flame, no I don't.
No, for me it was a girl, and it was for one simple reason, is that I thought the animations were way better.
Okay.
Honestly. It's an animation choice for me. I just like how the Inkling Girl A looks, and B, how they sort of emote, for lack of a better word.
It seems like that was the primary thing for Nintendo when they were like coming up with the designs and whatnot. I bet you when the Inklings come to Smash, and you know they're going to be in like Smash 5 or something, bit too much for DLC at this point, the girl will be the headliner and the boy will be the ult.
I think overall, from a more design-based approach, she is the better design, because the boy one, it's that top knot thing, it really annoys me. It just doesn't look right.
All the girl is the top knot just undone, really.
Yeah, but it looks better than if it tied up.
That's why I think they should probably start looking to adding different hairstyles to the game, honestly, because I think they could do some really, really interesting things with that, and I think it will just give a little bit of extra identity.
Yeah, it could be like some cool unlockables and stuff, I suppose.
Now, it mentions the Octarians dwell in worlds deep underground. If you actually look up, I tried to show this off, but we were talking over it, you can actually see that it's inside a gigantic dome. So yeah, the deepest lore.
They've got quite a lot of like background to what's essentially just the basis for a turf war, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I can really respect that, though. You can tell they've tried to flesh out something like this as much as they can. And they didn't need to necessarily ham it up or anything like that. They just added little bits here and there. You sort of come in and you think, well, there's all sorts of weird stuff here. And they just slowly sort of come up with their own explanations for how that ended up coming about. And I reckon that's really effective in terms of storytelling for a game that doesn't have much story.
Yeah, it's the Metroid way of like telling backstory and such through optional lore.
It's kind of like the unobtrusive way of getting more thematics in, really, and it's like you could ignore this if you just don't care for it, but it's there. It's a little bit of kind of atmosphere for you if you want to get more into it, sort of thing. I like that kind of touch to stories.
Okay, I think this is the first level where I actually had to use a guide to get the Sunken Scroll, so forgive me if I go out of my way to try and find stuff.
I doubt we will hold our punches too much on you for that one. I do like these little clothesline type things, though.
It is pretty fun, yeah. Sooner
or later you get to the point where you're sort of like jumping between them as well, and becomes very tricky platforming. Although it's not that tricky because you do home in a little bit when you actually jump. You sort of clip into them.
Okay, time to activate the special weapon.
The Inkzooka!
Just getting like several of them in one hit, it's fulfilling.
I would have liked to have seen the Kraken implemented in some way, though. I mean, I like the Inkzooka and I like the Ink Strike, but I would have liked to have seen all the quote-unquote super weapons used.
Well, if you have the Splatoon amiibos, and I think I'm coming up to the Sunken Scroll here, I'm just trying to keep an eye out. That might be it, actually. Anyway, the amiibos, they give you special challenges, and I think the Kraken is one of them.
Yeah, the amiibos, they give you different weapons. The female Inkling, I believe, gives you a sniper rifle, and basically you go through each of the campaign modes in using basically a sniper rifle. The Inkling Boy amiibo gives you a ink roller, which I think actually has the Kraken on there that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Squid amiibo actually gives, though, because that thing is hard as hell to find.
I've got to ask about the sniper rifle one. How playable is that? Because I know a lot of the bosses, I could picture it now, that must be really awkward to try and play with a sniper.
Actually, some levels of sniper make it a hell of a lot easier. Like with some of the bosses, you're not having to get up nearly as close in order to hit the weak spots and such. Mm-hmm. But there are some levels as well which are a lot trickier as well. Like there are some levels where you have to ink significant portions of wall whilst being arranged by a Roomba. With a sniper rifle, that's a lot more difficult because, of course, you don't really have that same rapid fire capabilities as you would with the normal gun.
Yeah, you need to be more on the ball with your aim if you want to use these sniper type weapons. Because for someone who's not really on the ball with their aim, I kind of find it much easier to kind of just spray and then catch up, sort of thing.
But the bottom line is the amiibos, they make some levels a lot easier if you know sort of the strength and weaknesses of the weapons offhand. And they do actually make some of the areas somewhat challenging as well. So if you have to have the amiibos on you, it's well worth giving them a look at, because some of the levels which were quite easy going through them normally, you might find, oh wow, this is actually really difficult.
Okay, we've done all the levels in the world, so I guess it's time for the first boss.
Into the giant kettle we go.
The mighty Octo Stomp, or Stamp, one of the two.
Either way, it sounds threatening enough for me.
Octo Stomp, there we go.
We have repurposed this Rubik's Cube for pure Octo destruction.
Damn Octarians, always perverting the course of nature.
See, this is what you get for using normal quality light bulbs. See, if they used halogen, this wouldn't have happened.
Volk, it's after the end, mate. You don't have to harp on humanity anymore.
We've already fucked everything, now it's up to them to fix it.
Okay, so the idea of this boss is, you gotta get him on the floor, you ink up the sides of him, you run up, hit the tentacle a bit, and then as the boss progresses, more of the platforms actually become inaccessible, so you have to be a bit more clever with your inking.
It teaches you how to ink up walls quickly, I guess, and it's just basically a tutorial boss.
It teaches the whole fact of inking under pressure. So when there's a lot of stuff going on, you have to sort of ensure that you have everything under control, otherwise you're going to get squished.
Well, the single-player campaign in general is great for just teaching you the basics of the game. It might not help overall in, multiplayer settings, but it will give you the gist of Splatoon, and it will make you a better fighter in multiplayer, at least a little bit.
That, and you also get some extra weapons to play around with as well, when you get the levels up, obviously.
I find these bosses are good for getting kind of the hang of shooting while staying on the move.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to get into a really dangerous habit of stopping to shoot, when you're trying to aim, especially if you've got the more kind of finicky weapons to use. So just getting into that habit of running while aiming and shooting, it's really... it sounds obvious, but it's necessary.
A bit shameful there. I wasn't able to do a perfect run, but whatever works.
Speaking of shameful, the split's there right in front of our face. That's the one thing I never quite got over with that boss, is those dainty little, feminine legs.
Please, this is a family channel. And there we go, World 1 complete.
Woohoo!
Just a dainty little woohoo! in the background.
Well, we're not at the final boss yet. More woohoos will be given on that one, I am sure.
Yeah.
Gotta earn your applause, you know.
You know, it's the first boss. You got to ramp it up a bit.
I can't really picture, like, the mighty Octo Stomp being used in a warfare setting, really. Seems very situational.
You say that, but you've just pictured 10,000 of those things all marching in sequence to the Command and Conquer Alert theme. Hell March.
Wait, hang on. Designer, Amoni Schellendorf. Is that meant to be like Amone or whatever that thing that comes from the sea is? They're all the fucking same.
Please don't insult our squid friends.
It's like it's a goddamn fish.
Yeah.
Also, that is making me cringe just because I know how unsafe that's gotta be.
Jesus Christ. Use like a vault safety thing or something.
Yeah. No, I'd love it if this entire hub area is just plugged into one socket on extensions.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if they don't care about the quality of their light bulbs, I don't think they care about basic safety procedures.
Okay, that's World 1 done, so we're going to move on to World number 2.